Yay! It worked.
Hey,
We're on. So,
fantastic.
welcome everyone. We just had a bit of a shocker, uh, a a technical shocker, as is the way that it tends to be on uh, this kind of stuff. And I believe we are live. So, welcome to anybody who's watching. Probably no one right now. To be on. There we go. Let me just turn this kind of here. There we go. And I'm here with Marcos, who is one of my masterminders. Um, so my mastermind are small groups of music producers, four in each. At the moment, I've got three. Looks like it might be going to four of them. Of four people in each, and we meet every 2 weeks, and we talk about all kinds of things: the creative process, the quality of the music, building businesses, growing fan bases, basically everything to do with music and some other stuff as well. So this is Marcos Alonso, who's a DJ. Why don't you introduce yourself to all of the wonderful
Yeah, my name's Marcus. Been a DJ for 20 plus years and a struggling producer probably for almost as long. And found Mike a few years ago and on and off have followed his ways until recently becoming much more involved in the process and having it really improve the way that I work.
Great. So we actually met for the first time in person because you've done stuff for years with me, haven't you? And then, but
Yeah,
we hadn't really kind of connected in a personal sense until it was when was it? It was November. It's back when we could
yeah,
actually be
yeah. It
in
was
different.
last November, wasn't it? It was when you had the fires.
so, and so I did a live event, a live like a mastermind kind of event, and just with a few people, and we made music and yeah, and that was where this kind of started. And today, what I thought we'd do just as a bit of fun, and also to kind of because no matter how much you talk about during sessions, there's always something else to talk about. You know what I mean? So I can't remember what we talked about last time. It's probably something to do with the audience building. But we Marcos wanted to also talk about his music because I've got a kind of model for thinking about what makes a great piece of music. It's a very very simple model, um, and it's kind of really. I mean, that was what we did at the live event actually, and we've been working on it since. And it's really about almost like a very simple way, but very powerful way of thinking about what a piece of music needs in order to work. Because one of the things I've found in coaching lots of different people is that they just say to themselves when they listen back, "Oh, I don't like that," and then that's it. But not liking something is it's like a blank wall. There's no
Yeah,
information there. Yeah. So it's like, well, what do I do? Well, what do you actually do in order to like it? And usually the process that most people go through is they just randomly do stuff until something
yeah.
happens. Whereas this model that I'm talking about, me as well, to be honest. But this model I'm talking about actually gives you a path to figuring out what to do. I mean, why don't you describe it from your perspective? Because obviously I've been coaching you
well,
through this process from a fairly early stage. And why don't you
it's just,
describe?
I would say it's like a deceptively simple step to success on on getting a hoorah track because it's just it breaks it into really manageable chunks of understanding you know the base areas of placing a track together that actually give it emotion and energy and tension and release and all those good things that we love about music, especially it's quite obvious in a lot of electronic music, which makes it deceptively, you think it's easy because you go, it's easy for you to listen to you take apart something and put it into those blocks to make it understandable, but then it's actually, the genius is in pulling that off well. But I guess that's, that's where the practice comes in. But at least I found it's focused my practice in areas. Whereas before my splurging, jamming ideas out that I've learned with you as well has done that, accelerated learning greatly, because everything you do is actually learning something, and you can direct it easily. And so having this process is, which has led to this phone call, that is called today, is that, I was like, particularly for me, the moment, whether it's a big one or a small one in my tracks, I just have been struggling to have that sound natural and work and fit with the track. And I identified that because it's part of the, what we learned when we had that face-to-face meeting. So it's a very powerful way of looking at it, even if it is simple when you put it on a piece of paper.
No, it's, I mean, I really do. I do think that all music. I mean, what we're really talking about is the thing, and payoff, and then because like the thing is almost like the purpose of the track at any given moment. I mean, not any given moment, but it's like it's a thing that happens.
We're going to get into the thing, aren't we? It's the rabbit hole of the thing.
So it's like it can be a chorus, it can be a bass line, it can be a groove, it can be, but it's the thing that comes back.
Yeah.
And the thing that people miss the most when it's not there, and that they're waiting for, essentially. That's the definition of the thing, and people often go, well, isn't that just a hook? Or isn't that just a chorus? Or isn't that just this? And it's like, well, no, not always, because the power of this model is that it actually works for almost every kind of music there is. Classical does tend to be slightly different, and as does jazz, but it still is. It still exists there. It's just a bit more complicated. But in the kind of music that we tend to be talking about, which is electronic music based upon dance music and pop music as well, it's very, very clear. But then also, so if that's on the x-axis, if you like, the thing, then in terms of how a piece of music, the purpose of the track, the purpose of where it goes to, what's the payoff moment? That's the almost like the second thing that you need, because the automatic music machine is a way of making an enormous amount of music, and as a result of making an enormous amount of music, your music improves. But it's not so much focused on. So it's almost like a practice machine, But it's not so much focused on specifically what you do in terms of the music itself. So the music does get better, but with what we're talking about today, this is much more a kind of compositional quality thing that we're talking about. No, so the thing isn't the drop. Arnold's asking. That's the payoff moment usually, not always though.
Yeah.
So the payoff would be the drop. Yeah. The thing is what happens at the drop, and those are two different things.
Here we go. Honestly, it's an absolute rabbit hole of things. Once Mike gets into his thing mode.
It's very clear though, because the payoff exists in time. It's more of a structural thing. So it's the payoff is when the maximum, there's the biggest differential between tension and release in a track. Yeah, so people are like, oh, right? That's the payoff. But that moment isn't the thing.
No.
What happens at that moment is the thing, right? Now there is a distinction there, because the thing happens at the start as well. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a payoff, right?
So you got to have the thing. You got to have the thing. You can't have the payoff without the thing.
Exactly. The thing has to happen first. The thing has to be stated multiple times in order for it to create a payoff later on. So no, the thing isn't the payoff. But yes, the thing is what happens at the payoff. Sometimes you can have a fake out payoff though, where people go, oh, no, not yet. And then they give you the thing. So let's have a listen to this. So did you want to listen to the drop down piece of music.
I really don't mind which, however you think best, Mike.
So
As our
let me just.
Kayla for the day.
So hi Shy. Hello Manuel. Hello Arnold. Hello Jace. Um, yeah, it won't be riddles, Arnold. When you talk about it, it's not riddles at all. It's very very clear. You'll get it soon enough.
It does take a little bit of getting your head round in the beginning because this the word thing comes up so many times that it throws you off a bit. But once you do get your head round it, it is a light bulb moment where you go, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't see that. Well, I did see it, but I just never had any words to put it into
Yes.
description.
So
Um,
the way I would talk about something like this is that it's like you're looking through a window at a scene. Yeah, it's like you're looking out of your window. Yeah, and you're not aware of the window that's right in front of your face because you're looking at what's behind it. Yeah.
yeah,
And what I'm talking about is that there's this thing which is this thing which is really really obvious that's right in front of your face,
yeah,
and you don't realize that it's
yeah.
there, which makes it sound like it's a little bit difficult to understand. But once you get it,
Yeah.
you can
Well,
process
it was
all.
definitely, like really confusing because it took those couple of days. We were like, what? And then we were all like, yes, we've got it. And then we went home, and then we were confused again because it actually took a bit of practice to take something you're working on and go, or even not something you're working on, just someone else's music and go, what is the thing in that track that everything in that track bending off, that is trailing off. There's the focus point, not the most powerful thing, but just the core of what it is. And you going, I've got this, and then you kind of, oh, actually no, I don't have it.
Yeah,
And then there's it's like a double humped camel of confusion that just that frustrates. But you do, once you persevere with it, and again practice, just practice, and with it, not even, you don't even have to splurge. I just sat down and listened to music that I like, mostly, not all music. I have tried a little bit of music I don't like, and
good. So I encourage
identifying,
people always
just
listen to music they
identifying.
don't like because it actually becomes clearer. This
Yeah,
kind of stuff becomes clearer because
yeah,
you don't have the kind of emotional thing going on,
yeah,
so you can listen
yeah,
to it
yeah. You're not
more.
invested in it already. It doesn't have it doesn't remind you of something, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're not
yeah,
reaching for the lasers.
yeah, exactly. And what's unfortunate in this situation, because we're live streaming on YouTube, is that I can't, because usually in coaching, like actual coaching sessions, when we're talking about this stuff, I will be bringing in music. So I would usually ask Marcos, what's your favorite, what's one of your favorite tracks at the moment? Yeah, so we listen to that, and then we can actually go through it and I go, look, here's the thing, here's the payoff, here's how he's doing that or she's doing that, and here's how this works, and it becomes very clear. And obviously, when we're live streaming on YouTube, we can't do that because of copyright problems.
Mm.
Unfortunately, but it is absolutely. I mean, I've been coaching people on this stuff for, I don't know, probably directly one to one, or in a group, in a small group, for, I don't know, a few months, like about 6 months now, and there hasn't been a single piece of music that somebody has said this one when I've asked them what's your favorite track, because often people will go, yeah, but there's this track which it doesn't work for. I mean, it happened in the event. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I
There
was
was
just like,
quite.
this is the track. And I went, are you kidding me? It so is. Right? Because like the question that we're really answering here is, when you make your music and people say, there's just something missing.
Yeah.
There's just something missing, and I can't put my finger on what it is. And the problem is with the question, what is missing, is that the solution that you immediately jump to is, oh, I need to add something.
Yeah,
Obviously,
totally,
what's missing?
100%.
I need to add something. And actually, that's usually the wrong, that makes the problem worse,
Mm,
because adding stuff often eclipses the thing,
mm,
confuses the payoff moment, and there's no clarity. People don't know what they're supposed to listen to,
mm.
so and you end up adding stuff, and it just ends up this kind of big mess. So in kind of taking the time to really understand what the thing is and what the payoff is, you can eventually, once you've practiced it, you can get much more. You know what to do because you know what's missing is you haven't decided what the thing is.
Yeah.
What's missing is that you don't have a payoff moment. And by the way, payoff moments don't have to be big.
Yeah.
Underground, that kind of very, very small type of music has payoffs as well. And there hasn't been a single person, and I coach people in lots of different styles, from pop to, EDM to techno to minimal to, all kinds of different ambient, there's all kinds of different styles. Ambient, again, the payoff is less clear there often, but but basically there is still a thing, right?
Yeah, it's usually fluffy and beautiful.
Yeah. The person who said this track, when I've asked them which track would you want to kind of analyze, where it's not been very, very clear. So this is kind of, obviously there are always exceptions to everything, but pretty much as universal as it gets. So no, not usually. A track, certainly not. I mean, classical. So Arnold's asking, that's a really good question. Can a track have multiple things? Some do, but when the exception to this is classical music, right? So let's just leave classical music to one side. Yeah. In terms of electronic music, particularly dance floor music, any track that has multiple things where they haven't decided what the thing is doesn't tend to be very good. Or it could be better. I mean, obviously there's music out there which displays there being multiple things, but it's striking. When Spotify does those playlists of the most streamed this and the most streamed that, and always I've never found a track that's done really well that doesn't do this. So of course, I've made music which is confused and not clear and has multiple things. So it is possible, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
It's a way of actually improving your music when you're super clear on this stuff.
Yeah.
So it is kind of frustrating that I can't, because we're on YouTube, play other people's music. I am actually looking into how to get a blanket license, so that I could do that, but that is some way off. So let's just listen to. Actually, maybe. What do you think, Marcus? Do you think it would be worth listening to a piece of my music that does this?
Yeah, definitely. Probably. I think it's probably more useful to hear something that clearly does after talking about it all than to go straight to something that is the worst track in my folder for not doing it, or attempting to do it but not pulling it off.
Yeah. Let me just think of one. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to play a track of mine, which has, and the reason it took me a little while is I wanted it to be a very clear example. Okay. Hang on, that's the wrong one. Actually, let's do it off YouTube. Stop share. Right, I'm going to go to my Spotify. And Monday. So let's play this one. Now tell me, can you hear this, Marcos?
No.
Oh no.
Oh.
Now.
Oh yeah.
So, Marcos, what's the thing there?
Well, I was thinking it was the little noise because I was like, "Where is it? Bring it back!" and then I was completely distracted by that vocal because I'm going to make a thing of your course with the bloody videos using it because you use it in your videos. So I'm like, "Oh, module. Let's go to module 4, week 7."
Yeah. So essentially, so in this, the thing is the actual the chorus. I. Because what? Yes, the thing in this, it starts with the other bit. Yeah, but really, that's me not starting with the thing. So you don't have to start with the thing.
See, you got to sneak one past me. It's not easy. It's not easy, this thing identification. It's a minefield. I had a 50-50 chance and I still got it wrong.
So this is the end of the chorus. It's like the chorus. So one way to figure out what the thing is to actually notice when you feel tension in your body and when you feel that tension released.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So when it goes back to this, notice the feeling of tension and release in your body. I know it's a bit weird, like, ooh, yeah, but just honestly, it's how it works. This is how music works. It's all about tension and release. Yeah. So. I mean, even for me, when that vocal comes out, I'm like,
yeah,
I want to hear it again, even if I didn't like it. But now notice when the thing goes away in a second. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
There's more tension that you're like,
yeah.
You're now waiting for the thing to come back. And I'm even like with the, even that sound has a kind of something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So now we're building to the payoff moment. And in this one, the payoff moment isn't that different from the initial statement of the thing. The payoff moment really is the payoff moment because of this bit. So you can hear the tensions building now. Again, pointing to the thing. We're pointing. It's coming. Right?
Yeah.
Now, just on a personal level, when I listened back to that, I know when I was making that, I was trying to see how far I could push the tension. And listening back to that right now, and obviously my judgment is suspect, I think I didn't do as well as I could have done towards the end of that payoff. I think it could have been
You could have made
tightened
it
up.
more tense.
Yeah. I think maybe I was convincing myself that I was, but what I found is that because you got to be careful with the tension, because if you over, I think the payoff moment works because it's just a real like it's a real release, but if you pull that elastic band too far, sometimes it can break and you lose people. And for me, that lost me a bit there towards the end. But I know what I was trying to do at least.
Yeah.
It's
all part of the learning. It's all part of the learning, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, absolutely. Arnold's got it right. Well, the thing is what Arnold says. The thing is feeling the ironically directed uncertainty. Well, the thing isn't that. The absence of the thing is that. Yeah. So you're creating uncertainty because they're like, well, when's it going to come back? When? And there's that funny video about the button. Is it the drop button?
Yeah. Don't press the button.
That one. That is so true. And obviously EDM, they take it to a ridiculous extent where it's like, what is it? That's essentially it in a really, really, really obvious, like taken to a ridiculous extent way. But you can do it much more subtly, and it is present in so-called underground music, as clear as anywhere else. So anyway, so that's the background on the thing. And by the way, YouTube, that was my music. And Mike Monday, do I have your permission to play your music? Yes, Mike Monday, you do have my permission to play your music. Do I need to ask anybody else? No, you don't. Do I need to sign a piece of paper? No, you don't. It's your music. You can play it. Right, so YouTube.
Good luck with that.
Anyway, so let's listen to Marcus's music, which has not been released. So unless you copied it from someone else, we won't get shut down.
Yeah, it's a complete rip-off of someone else's terrible music.
Okay, so just let's share the screen. So this is Marcus's automatic music machine, and we're listening to Drop Down here, aren't we?
Yep.
Can you hear that? Let me know if it's like too loud or too soft or anything compared to anything else.
No, I think it's okay. I will wait and see when it kicks in. Yeah, maybe a tiny bit louder.
A bit louder?
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
So I don't think I can.
Oh, okay, that's all right. I'll turn up mine.
else happen particularly that we need to hear, or are
No,
we...
no. It's just whittling out towards the end now.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the question I always ask at this point.
What is the thing?
What's the thing?
Well, I put on my notes here. I put the thing as the groove, and which I was aiming towards, but I've struggled to really focus in on the thing for this track. And
so so Matt asked a really good question in the comments, which is earlier on. Where are we? In this example, which was my example, which was Tremble, the track I played, when the thing leaves, other elements leave with it. How to separate the thing from whatever is leaving with it. So this is a part of it that can be unclear, because the thing can be one part. Yeah. But also the thing can be a collection of parts, because if you think about it, a groove, what is a groove? Well, a groove is often, for instance, in house, a kick drum, a hi-hat, some kind of clap or snare, and a bass line. Yeah. But depending on what the producer, composer, musician does with that groove will determine what the thing actually is. Yeah. So for instance, in my case, in the Tremble track that I played, I took out the vocal with everything else still playing, and I certainly I experienced an increase in tension. Yeah, which for me says to me that, well, actually the thing in that track is that vocal, is that I, but sung better than me. Yeah. So, and it's kind of one of the other difficulties about this, but it's actually, even though it's a difficulty, it's easier than not knowing this. Right? One of the difficulties about this is that reporting on music that is already being made, analyzing music that's already being made and saying that's the thing and that's the payoff, is different to doing it before it's been made.
Yeah, exactly.
So often the problem that I hear I mean, it's almost most people's music that I
Mm,
hear in the mastermind is that they have not been clear in the compositional process about what the thing is.
mm,
And so because being clear about what the thing is both a decision that you make before you make the music, but then it has to be expressed in the music.
yeah.
Yet you do things differently as a result of making that decision. So if Marcos says to me, I want the thing, that because Marcos said the thing is this. But I think at the moment we're in a situation where the thing could be a few.
Yeah, well, that's the classic thing as well. When I listen to things with you, I hear
Yeah.
different things again, and it's like as soon as we would listen to it, I was like, I looked at my thing, and I was like, the groove, yeah, definitely it's the groove. And then there was, I think, it was when the little sort of organy thing was playing. There was one of the other sort of organ noises that repeated quite a bit, but it rhythmically, and it was like, oh, that's kind of the thing, but that could be the thing as well. But not thinking of it as part of the groove, just thinking of it as a noise that plays, and then I was like, and then after the breakdown, which I think the breakdown is meanders too much, and it's not really focused because it's not really trying to build you back to anything because it doesn't come back to any of those parts. It just and it goes on too long, it's all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it could be for me now. I'm like, oh, maybe it's actually that noise is the part of the thing now that you've said. It's
I mean,
a part of the thing could be.
listening to you speak now, I think maybe what will help is instead of saying, because when I,
Could
for
be
instance,
the thing. I would like it to be the thing.
what could the thing be? Not what is it. So
My desire is for the thing
yes,
to
for
be.
instance, when I'm talking, when I've been introducing it to the people who are watching, yeah, I had to say this is what the thing is, yeah,
Mm,
because it already is, because I made that
yeah,
decision as the
yeah.
composer. And like the greatest, as I said, all of the music that people have said this, I want you to hear this. What's the thing in this? They've made that decision. Whether they've done it consciously, I'm sure they haven't done it consciously, but they know it's almost like it's
Mm,
there. It's very clear. It's very focused.
yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the back. Whereas in this situation, if this track has a problem, it's that you are not clear on what the thing is, and the
Mm,
music isn't clear on what the thing is, right?
hmm
At the moment, to me, the thing could be the groove with the bass line, yeah, but it also could be the part that starts at the beginning. Not right, is it right at the beginning? Not right at the beginning, I don't think. That is that noise, is it? No. Hang on.
There's like a clackety like.
No, it goes down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason that is sounds like the thing is because it's repeated all the way through at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of the other parts are pointing to it.
Yeah.
We're not.
And it doesn't come back. So, that would make sense to why it's sort of the second half of the track and the breakdown kind of just go.
Yeah, exactly. Because you set it up at the start of the track, that sounds like the thing.
Yeah.
Because and when I say all of the other parts
Could
are
be the
pointing,
thing. It would like to be the thing. I would like it to be the thing. Let's make it the thing.
but I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it should be the thing.
I would like it to be the thing.
So,
My desire is that it shalt be the thing.
let me just explain why. There's one particular part that for me makes that the thing. At that point, it's the that stuff because it's answering the thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pointing it back at the thing.
Hold on a second. My cat's just brought in a bird. Lucky me. Hold on one sec. I'll just gonna. I think it's dead. At least I don't have. Well, yeah. Hold on one sec.
Isn't nature cruel?
Oh mate.
Oh my god! The other, so our dog once brought in a rotting rat which was full of maggots and ran through the house, and maggots were flying everywhere. And we were chasing it through the house, trying to stop this bloody dog from spreading maggots everywhere. It was awful. Anyway, Matt, could there
Oh
be a
dear.
bit of a perception thing happening here, like as the listener may understand a different thing than another listener, or in more extreme examples than the producer intended? Matt, I don't believe so. Um, I don't think so. So let me give you let me give you an example which will demonstrate this. Let's talk about big room EDM. You know, kind of pop EDM that's in the charts. Yep. Now, the listener, most listeners, because the way I used to describe the thing, and this was an early version of my understanding, but as I coach more people, it kind of improves and upgrades all the time. Yeah. So an early version, an early articulation of what the thing was it's the bit that people say, it's the one that goes. Yeah, you remember me saying that? I said that a lot. Yeah, so it's the one that goes. But what I realized was when I kind of started listening with this kind of model in my head to lots of different music, was that, for instance, big room EDM with vocals on the top, that's not what I'm referring to. Yeah, the vocal in that, where it's got a vocal on the top, that's actually that's usually what happens before the payoff moment, because the payoff is actually the drop. Yeah, and often what will happen is you'll get the vocal over the top, and then it'll go boom, and the thing comes back in, because it's the bit that everybody's waiting for isn't actually the vocal. But a lot of people, because they easily remember vocals, will remember the vocal more than because it's easier to sing. But what I'm talking about, and why this is so powerful, is that what I'm talking about is the tension and the release. Now, at its most base level, music is about building tension and releasing it at various different points in the music. That's what it does. It's the fundamental thing about the fundamental thing. The fundamental purpose of music is to express that tension and release, the uncertainty, the certainty. Yeah, and that's why we find it so pleasurable, right? And so essentially, what the thing is pointing to, and the payoff is pointing to, is this tension and release. So if somebody says, well, to me, that's the thing, they're probably either not understanding what I'm pointing at, or they're not kind of, yeah, or that, yeah, basically that's it. That's the only option. I've yet to find a piece of music where it's not really, once you listen, obvious what the thing is. Anyway, so right, so with this piece of music, we've dropped down. Would you now? I mean, to you, Marcos, is it now clear what the problem, if you like, is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, one of the things that is so useful about having you around.
Yeah, so
at my beck and call.
got the Mike Monday red phone.
Yeah, just like press the Mike Monday button.
So what, like with that information, so if we look, because now we know that, I mean, again, we are in, where is this? This is in draft, right?
No, it's in done, because I was just sort of, doing it.
That's fine. That's great. That's a good thing to do. So, because we can move back and forwards in the machine. That's absolutely.
Yeah.
With that information, that basically the fundamental problem with the track isn't actually the breakdown, the bit before the payoff. I actually think that could work really well. The problem is the thing doesn't come back, or the thing that you have demonstrated, like what the thing seems to be until the breakdown never comes back. So it's like it kind of goes. It's
100%.
It's a bit like you've written a Lost track. So Lost, the TV series, where you're expecting a payoff and then it never happens because they haven't actually decided what the thing is. They're like we didn't really know what was going on, so we just kind of made some random stuff up, and then I mean, it's not as bad as Lost, by the way, but it's that's basically.
Well, it's so much more obvious now. We've had a conversation, because it's like I've got tracks going through and done, and I'm like, that they've got their payoff works really well, and and then they each time I come back to this one, I'm like, I really like something about this track. I want to make it. I want it to come through. I want to get it right. I want to get it to release, and because it's just something I really like about it.
Yeah.
But it's gone backwards and forwards a few times actually. Even though there's not many bounces on it, there's been a few sessions on it where I'm just like, yeah, and then I come back and I'm like, wow, no. and
Yeah.
it's and like it's exactly what you're saying, isn't it? It's just basically failure to fire on the thing.
What you need to do is bring the thing.
Yeah, bring
You need to
the
do.
thing. You can get your Mike Monday, bring the thing merchandise.
Bring the thing. That's a really good point. Actually, I've actually got a meeting with. We've got like about 3 or 4 designers on the t-shirt case.
Oh, there you go. Bring the thing.
Bring the thing is awesome. Right. So
Quick, put it in a note.
Yeah, I need to put it in a note, otherwise because I forget everything. So I mean, essentially, let's just actually talk about let's actually talk about before we end, because I think we've basically got it sorted.
Yeah,
I mean, the power of this kind of model is that it becomes
and
very simple.
just for everyone else's sake as well. Just because we now have move forward movement doesn't make this any easier. So if you apply this to your own process, you will more than likely come away from this call going, yeah, I think I've kind of got the idea of that. And then you'll get onto something and you go, oh, damn it. No, I get nothing. Because it just takes so much practice to train yourself to recognize it. And then even again, starting all over again to apply it. There's quite a bit of work to sort of, when we can't all just be Mike Mondaying it left, right, and center,
Oh well, no, but I mean, I struggle with it myself. So it's easy. It's more, you know what it's like, right?
Yeah.
Like, so for instance, in the mastermind situation, Marcos. Yeah. So we are a group of 4 people, and I essentially coach each of you individually but in the group. So you're all listening to the other people's stuff. Yeah. And you will hear other people say, "Oh, I've got this, difficulty. I've got this obstacle. I don't know what to do in terms of, this like audience building thing, this piece of content, this, or this creative process struggle." Yeah. And when you're listening to other people talk about their obstacles, you're going, it's obvious what you need to do. Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah. But then the second step is you go, hang on a minute, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing exactly the same. I've got the same problem. Yeah. So it's always this is one of the benefits of a
it's the genius of it.
You're hearing other, and then you then apply that to yourself. The same is true in this case, is that and I find it too, it's way easier for me to listen to your music and go, it's obvious, Marcos. You have not brought the thing. Yeah. You just need to bring the thing. And essentially, but when I'm actually on the other side of it, making the music, it is just because you are the creator, more challenging to see it so clearly, right? And I mean, this is the benefit of having the kind of feedback that we're talking about here. We're actually going back and forth over time, and I'm actually kind of, because that's where you get that kind, and then it kind of becomes clear. But
it's just like so many times it's sort of, you think you've trained it into yourself, and then your brain just comes along and tricks you back into a habit, or just tricks you in a new way. It's like you got all these sort of, you got the hammer and you're trying to hit the mallet on the animals coming up from the little holes, and they're coming up from the other hole over there, and it's the same animal, and you thought you just smashed it down over here. I mean, I guess that's life, isn't it? It's just a never-ending process of that. But yeah, definitely this whole process is it sheds light on it, at least, which takes you out of the misery and despair of constantly looping around the same issues with them even realizing what is the issue. So at least I know what the problem is.
So Arnold says something here that I think is important to just highlight. So Arnold says, that's why when you feel like you want to hear that drop, I personally actually jump back before that when the tension starts to build up. If you jump straight to the drop, it's way less effective. So that is one of those things where I would be careful about making blanket statements like that, because sometimes that's not true. Yeah, that's one of those, yes, sometimes it's way less effective, sometimes it isn't. So for instance, I think that in my track that I played, the tremble track, the one with the I, that one, if I hadn't have gone straight into the drop, I know it's not a drop in terms of a kick drum and stuff, but effectively the payoff moment. If I hadn't done that, it would have been way less effective. So it is situational. And there have been other dance floor tracks that I've written where I tried what you're talking about is a fake out payoff. Yeah, it's like it sounds like it's going to be the payoff, but you do something else and then you actually deliver the payoff, right? So the fake out payoff is a thing that you can do. It's a technique that you can use,
a
but
tool.
It's not always way less, way more effective.
You never put the fake out on your 13 and a half ways to develop the thing.
Yeah, no, but that would be a different
list.
that would be a different PDF. No, that would be a different. So, but I mean, because obviously that's about what you do in between stating the thing and having the payoff, because there's stuff that's in between. Really, with the thing and the payoff, we're talking about the two most important, crucial parts of the music to understand. Not necessarily before, but I guess before you can say, all right, this is a draft, you need to know, you need to be clear on what those things really are. Again, so Chris is asking, after how long should the payoff be? That's like saying, unfortunately, and I know
it sounds good.
Answer, how long is a piece of string?
Yeah, well, especially because like when we were going through examples when we were learning all this. Some of the tracks, the payoff was right at the beginning of the track. It was ridiculous. There wasn't even a break. It was a payoff straight to the payoff, and then the rest of the track was bleeding away from that and with bits of tension and stuff. And you're like, if I say that out loud, you go, that sounds terrible. But when you listen to it, it sounded fantastic. It was
so a really good
technique, regardless of whether you like the actual track or not.
Yeah, exactly. So a really good example, and I'm not going to play it because it's not mine, so I can't.
Yeah.
But I'll just put it up on here so that people can actually listen to it themselves. So here's an example of a track. Sugar is Sweeter, Armand Van Helden's drum and bass mix, right? It's not drum and bass, but essentially that is a track where the payoff comes at the start. Yeah. Now, I think it's fair to say that in most... hang on, I didn't share the screen, did I? Sorry. There we go. Armand Van Helden's drum and bass mix of CJ Bolland, Sugar is Sweeter. Okay. The payoff comes... is it that? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is definitely that. Yeah, so I sometimes get confused with some of his remixes around that time. Yeah, the payoff comes right at the start. But I think it's fair to say that in most club music, certainly house and techno probably, and tech house, the payoff tends to come 2/3 of the way through. That tends to be the case, or in the middle. It's rare that it comes at the start, but there isn't a should here. It depends what you want to do. I mean, if you put it at the start, so for instance, the reason that Armand Van Helden remix works for it to be at the start is that it's such a massive moment that you just, and he only has it once. It's so that's what makes the thing so genius. It's just like it's a once. It just happens at the start, and then you're away. But it's such a massive moment that it just carries the rest of it, and people are going so nuts that
Yeah, that's the genius of it, is that it's not overused. It's when you look at it, you actually listen to it. It's like, oh wow, it's amazing that one moment. Anyone else? I know that was me that had come up with it. I'd use it again and again and again. Be like, yeah.
That's why he's such a genius with that track, because he's just so held back with it. It's like it's literally, he's just such a badass by putting that in once. He's so confident with that. I was just. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just so. I mean, do you know what, that track? At the Millennium at the Lakota Club in Bristol, the turn of the millennium.
The Lakota.
Oh my god! but it was properly nuts at that point. It was just an
Yeah.
amazing place at that point. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's like now, but it was just unbelievable. And I had a
I'd
real,
say it's probably closed, right?
we're close now, yeah, exactly. But back then, yeah. But anyway, so
Yeah.
but I think again, there's an example of a track. I mean, actually, that's arguable, but in that, the sugar daddy. So for instance, someone wrote in the comments, Matt wrote sugar daddy. Yeah. So that's the bit that people probably say. It's the one that goes sugar daddy. The thing isn't that. The thing is the
No. Yeah.
yeah. That is the thing in that track. So yet another example of where, what people think it is and what it actually is different, because the tension is released with that bass line.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we have so let me just quickly, I just want to talk about this little bit beforehand. So one of the ways that you could increase the tension there is by referring to the thing without giving them the full thing, right? So in that 13 ways to develop the thing, one of the which I gave
I am looking at my wall right now. 14 actually, because remember we added one and it was 14.
So basically how I do stuff is I coach people, and this is where the insights come from, right? So I'm always developing, everything as we go through. One of them was split.
It was indeed number 10.
Number 10 was split. Yeah. So what you could do, so if the thing in your track is well, there you've got two notes. Yeah. And splitting it would either be or or you could split and do some kind of modification. So you could, for instance, you could gate it. So you could go
transpose it,
or I mean,
or reharmonize it.
Well, you could. The only problem with that in this particular case is because it's just two notes. If you it's like the thing is very simple, and there's nothing wrong with the simple thing. In this case, if you did that, it would no longer be the thing.
Oh, you're starting to sound like my girlfriend now. You're like the thing, the simple. There's nothing wrong with a simple thing. And
well, I am a simple thing, and so one thing you could do, and I'm not saying this will work because I haven't tried it. Right?
Sure.
But it's like
something to try.
Yeah, because really what the payoff is a combination of the bit before the payoff and the payoff. What sets up the payoff is the bit before it. Yeah. Yeah. So what you could do is do something which refers to the thing, right? So which is which would increase the tension and tell everybody, hey everyone, the thing's coming soon. Okay, so get ready. Are you ready for the thing? It's coming. Yeah. So that's something you could do. Another thing you could do, if that didn't work or was really obvious or really annoying, and I don't know because you'd have to hear it, is the bit that pointed to the thing before that I was talking about before, which was the you could put that in. Yeah, because that was pointing to the thing before. And so people are like, it's lead. So let me just play it so people remember. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so that beep beep, the fluty thing. Yeah. That is answering the thing and pointing. So in other words, it's pointing at it. It's like people are now in people's minds, they have a connection with that extra part, the answer, and the thing. Yeah. So if you then put that part in without the thing being in there, that is also pointing to the fact that the thing's going to come back soon. Make sense?
Yeah, from the thumb.
Yeah, so again, it's all about creating expectations.
Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah,
really clear when you explain it.
yeah.
We should do this tomorrow. I've got another one that.
We've got an actual session tomorrow, haven't we? We've got
Oh
a
yeah,
rough.
true. Actually, we do have a session tomorrow. Damn it. Okay, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Get my money's
Exactly.
worth.
So all this really needs, Marcos. I mean, it's basically there. All this really needs is you making the rest of the track about
Yeah,
the thing,
thing.
coming
Yeah.
back to it, and playing in the. What I like about that break, and the way that comes in over the top, is that it's actually got a slightly it's got a slightly different tonality. It's like I don't know whether it's the dominant or the subdominant, but it's basically it wants to resolve to the and so that really works. So I think that is fantastic. But it's just that you don't come back to the thing. And then the final thing I wanted to say was that you bring that over the thing later on, and that I find disappointing because
I hate to disappoint you.
It's almost like it's not fulfilling the function.
Yeah.
That's not what it's for.
It had its purpose, and it doesn't need to come back, that noise.
It doesn't need to.
But again, it's you can see it's all just sort of fishing around trying to find something, and I think that's also the breakdown it going on as long as it does, and the tricks I'm using on that noise to try and build tension to a release that doesn't really release anything.
Yeah,
I think that's half the problem. So I'm not even worried about the breakdown now, because now I've got something to focus on for the thing. I know that in the past with other tracks where once I've got the thing fully locked and loaded, the breakdown brings itself to that. You can't, you'd have to be deaf and blind to not let it go where it wants to go. You'd have to really fight it. So, but yeah, like you say, getting the thing is the thing.
Bring the thing. That's all we have to say.
Bring the thing.
Exactly. So I think that's all that needs to be said. Bring the thing and nothing else. So thank you so much for Marcos for indulging in this experiment. I think it's been well, I've certainly enjoyed it. It's been
it's been great.
My end of things. If the people watching have enjoyed it, make sure that you like this video so that I know that I can do more of these in the future. And yeah, keep making things, keep bringing them back.
Yeah. And fear not if your thing finding is not working, because I'd start this in November and I'm still here. We are. You just saying me miss the whole thing.
Yeah, but having said that at the same time, Marcos, if we look back again, I always do this with the coaching clients. Is always get because it's very we're always looking forward and seeing where we need, where we want to improve, which is great. But also we do also need to acknowledge where we've come from, and if you look at the difference in the music now from then, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, you always, when you investing emotion and creativity in something, you're always looking at the worst thing in it, because you're proud of something, and then 2 seconds later you hate yourself, and that's that's an awful thing to go through. But I guess without the tension, you cannot have the release. So
exactly. That's what keeps us coming back.
Yeah.
So I mean, I always say the definition of a great music producer has to be that you are constantly dissatisfied. I mean, that's just part of the game. So
yeah, I mean, I'm dissatisfied just as a DJ with music constantly, because I love something, I play it at a few gigs, and then I'm like, I need some new music, so how could I ever sit down something that I listen to over and over and over again and it isn't as good as the stuff that I like playing at parties and be always happy.
Fantastic. So Marcus, why don't we finish this, because you do live streams of you DJing as well, don't you? In that
I do, in the back of the studio.
Been in lockdown fully. So where can people find your live? Because they're very entertaining, great music.
Yeah, there's on Twitch is the easiest way to find it, and the Twitch username is Johnny Ankles, all one word, and it's New Zealand Friday afternoons 4 till 6 p.m. and
Right.
we're now going. I think this Friday will be the first time we do it outside the studio. We're doing it in a local restaurant to help drum up business for some struggling restaurants and bars and venues around Wellington. It should be good fun. It's mostly music, a little bit of banter. Normally there's a bit of costumery and theme stuff. People dress up and they post pictures of themselves on Instagram with a hashtag, and then that gets shown up on the stream. And lots of people chat from different platforms. Sorry?
What's the hashtag?
Squeaky wheels without the U.
Squeaky wheels.
Which is, yeah, squeaky.
When you were too tired. I remember.
We don't talk about that anymore. No. It's a legitimate word. It's on the Urban Dictionary. Squeaky. When something is so in need of lubrication that you don't hear the squee, you only hear the ski. Which is also the name of my record label.
There we go. All right. So you heard it here first. So check out Johnny Ankles on Twitter and Skeeky Wheels, which is squeaky
on Instagram. No, not on Instagram. On what's it called? Twitch, not Twitch. It's on Twitch. Yeah.
Twitch. Okay.
Twitch.
Yeah,
Twitch. It's twitching.
Yeah, I'm sure if you write Skeeky Wheels without a U somewhere on the internet, it will come up.
It'll be the only stuff linked to it. There's not even any porn with Skeeky, so you're safe. You're safe to search it, people.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, it's been great to hang out. I'm sure we'll do this again at some point. So until next time, onwards and upwards.